Weekend predictions as far as SEC baseball, top conference tournament basketball, maybe get into some NCAA stuff. But it's a big weekend, first weekend of the SEC baseball season. It's the best if you're a SEC baseball fan. It's the best time of year. You get great teams and great matchups. Sweets, which matchup you like first? You want to talk about?
Let's start off with Tennessee and Georgia. Okay, number 19 Tennessee travels to Athens to play number 8 Georgia at Foley Field. Battle of two top 25 SEC teams this weekend for their starters matchups. These are all tentative, of course. Tennessee's got Tegan Coons going Friday. He's got a 1-1 record with a 3.9 ERA, 29 Ks, and a .90 WHIP. He'll be faced against Joey Volko, who's 4-0 with a 3.0 ERA. Saturday's matchup is right-hander Landon Mack for the Vols. He's 3-1 with a 2.38 ERA and 30 Ks. He'll be going against Dylan Veig with a 3-1 record, 1.93 ERA, 11 Ks, average per game. And then on Sunday, it'll be lefty Evan Blanco for the Vols. He's 1-2 with a 2.75 ERA against Kenny Ishikawa, who's back from an injury. Ishikawa's 1-0 with a 0.0 ERA. He's only started the one game due to an injury, but the Dogs are happy to have him back this weekend. Should be a great series. Georgia's really come around after the first weekend hitting the ball. Daniel Jackson's hitting 408 with 14 bombs and 33 ribs. He's also 10 for 10 in stolen bases. Trey Phelps, preseason All-American's hitting 406 with 8 bombs, 22 ribs, and he's reached base in every game this season. Brennan Hudson is hitting 351 with 10 bombs, and Henry Allen is hitting 415 with 7 bombs and 26 ribs. Georgia, like I said, Georgia's hitting the ball really well. They're scoring lots of runs now, but that was in non-conference play. They're going to face SEC pitching now, so it's going to get the runs. You probably ain't going to see 14, 15 runs a game as often in the regular season as you would non-conference. For Tennessee, Henry Ford recently had 5 ribs in the recent 20-2 victory over Tennessee Tech. Reese Chapman hit a grand slam this week. He has a 1.059 OPS, and Manny Marin has a 0.942 OPS. Tennessee's bullpen has been fantastic so far. They're 8-0 on the season with a 3.51 ERA, and they're holding opponents to a 208 batting average. So what Tennessee's hoping to do is they're hoping to get into a close game late in the game and let their pen take it over, because they got a lot of confidence. Ellender's got a lot of confidence in his pen that if he can be close or ahead late in the game, that Tennessee's pen's going to be able to close the show for him. And he's right so far. They've done a heck of a job in the non-conference play. The home field advantage has been great here. So for the last 3 series, the home team has won the series. My prediction for the series, I think Georgia will win the series 2-1. Wouldn't dare to guess which game Tennessee will pull out. Wouldn't surprise me if Tennessee won 2-1 either, or a sweep would surprise me, because these are both solid teams. But should be a good game. The weather's supposed to be okay this weekend in Athens, so we should get all 3 games in. Kev, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I love this opening series between these two teams. You've got Tennessee, who's been the team with a lot of swag that hit a lot of home runs over the last 4 or 5 years with Vitello, against Georgia, a team that has really came on and the last couple of years under Wes Johnson and hit the ball. And so I think it's a great matchup to see which one of these teams puts themselves at the top of the SEC in those top 6 teams. I'm like you. I really like Georgia in this series at home. Um, when I look at the pitching matchups, I think Friday night's a toss up, and then going into to Saturday, on paper before the season, I would have really liked Landon Mack, but Dylan Vogue has been really good for Georgia, so I kind of like him in that Saturday matchup. Going back to Friday, Voco might have a little more top end talent than Coons, but Coons will compete. The one thing about these Tennessee starters is they all go 5, 6 innings. They've all consistently done that this year. So to your point, they're going to get you into your bullpen in a good place. And then Georgia, on the other side, they've got to have their starters go some distance because they don't have the same, uh, bullpen as Tennessee.
That's
I
right.
really like Georgia's bats, though. You mentioned Allen, Jackson, Phelps. There's Ryan Black. You mentioned Hudson, Kobe Branch. I just really like their lineup. I think they're going to put runs on the board. I don't think they'll score double digits against Tennessee, but I can see 5 to 8 runs a game. And Tennessee's been up and down hitting the ball. Ford's been excellent. Blaine Brown's had some good weeks, and but they've had guys on that team that have been inconsistent hitting the ball. So I just think where both teams are at right now, I really like Georgia to win 2 out of 3. I do think it'll be a 2 out of 3 series. I don't think either team will get a sweep just because both these teams are so competitive and they're coached hard. And I don't think I, all three games are going to be fights. So I think it'll be hard to get a sweep when you're talking about the kind of talent both these teams have and how they're going to fight each other. It's a rivalry anyway, but both these teams are trying to say, okay, we're top 10. So if we go from there, let's go to Arkansas and Mississippi State. And again, another top 10 matchup in the SEC. You got Mississippi State, who, in my opinion, top 3 in the or in the country this year. I think UCLA's 1, Texas 2, Mississippi State's a solid 3. And in Arkansas, I still think they're a top 10 team, even though they've had a couple of disappointing losses. But you look at the matchups there, pitching wise, Friday, you got Ryan McPherson, 1.96 ERA against Gabe Geichel, who's been up and down in his career as a starter, but he's got great stuff. 2.61 ERA. Saturday starters, again, you got another pair of really good ones. Thomas Valencias for Mississippi State, the transfer from Virginia, 1.74 ERA against maybe Arkansas's most talented pitcher in Hunter Dietz. Struggled a little bit on his first outing this year, but boy, the last 2 or 3 weeks, Dietz has been really good. And he comes in with 19 innings pitching a 2.84 ERA. So both of those matchups, really good matchups pitching wise. Then Sunday you've got Duke Stone, 17th inning pitch, 3.06 ERA against Colin Fisher, left-hander, 23 innings pitched and a 1.17 ERA. This series is in Fayetteville. It's got two of the best coaches in the game again going against each other. I'm going to say that Mississippi State will win 2 out of 3. And just to mention a couple of the lineup players that are key for Arkansas to win, their big guys have to hit well, and by their big guys, Ryder Helfrich, Aloy, Micah New, those guys have got to hit well for them. When they've won, it's been because of those guys. Cam Koziel at second base, those guys have really hit well because they've got part of their lineup that has hit well, and then you guys got guys like TJ Pompey who has struggled. And Brumbaugh's been really good defensively at shortstop, but he's not really hit well at the plate. So Arkansas are going to need their 4 to 5 big bats to come through to win this series. You flip it to Mississippi State, they have more depth across their lineup, hitting through their lineup. Of course, you got Ace Reese, you got Bryce Chance, Nunnally in the outfield. All the other transfer from Virginia that is in their outfield has been really good for them this year. And Ryder Woodson and then Drew Wires have been good in the infield for them as far as hitting the ball. So I like the batting lineup of Mississippi State a little better. I think they're deeper there. But I think, with the series being in Arkansas, I think Arkansas will get 1 game. But I do think Mississippi State, with their pitching and their deep batting lineup, I think they will get 2 out of 3. And I'll go ahead and say that I think the game that Arkansas will get will be that Sunday game. I think 2 hard-fought games Friday and Saturday. I think Mississippi State will get those games. And if they do, it's going to serve notice to the SEC that they are absolutely for real, which none of us doubt that, and that they're a top 3 team. Again, since 2017, Dave Van Horn has won at least 18 conference games. So this is his time of year is fixing to get started. So it wouldn't surprise me to see them win 2 out of 3. Again, like you mentioned against Georgia and Tennessee, it would totally surprise me if either one of these teams swept each other. Your thoughts on this series?
Yeah, looking at Arkansas, Arkansas's opened the season with 8 consecutive series wins, and 6 of those were sweeps. So out of their last 24 opening season between the 8 years games, they've they've won what, 22 of them. I mean, that's pretty darn impressive. To go 22-4 or 22-2 over your opening weekend for 8 years. Just goes to show that he's got those kids ready to go first week of the year, and they've struggled a little bit in the preseason or the non-conference schedule. So Arkansas is certainly looking to turn around. Mississippi State is for real though, like we talked about earlier. Maybe the best team in the country. They've lost 2 nail biters at the end of games against number 1 UCLA and number 7 Southern Miss. So these guys are tested and they know how to win. For a prediction, I'll go ahead. I'll put in with you. I think Mississippi State is going to break that streak of Arkansas's. I think they get 2 out of 3, and it'll be a good start for them getting into SEC play and breaking that streak of Arkansas. Next, we'll jump into Ole Miss versus Texas. Which should be a really good matchup this weekend. Texas is 16-0, off to their best start in years, leading the SEC with a 2.42 team ERA, and they rank 4th in team batting average with a 340 clip there. Ole Miss is 15-3 coming into SEC play, following a 2-1 loss to number 7 Southern Miss the other night. So they've outscored opponents 49-14 in the first 3 innings of games. So you look for them to jump out early. That's a key for Ole Miss. Bianco wants those guys hitting and moving on the bases early to put pressure on the other team staffs and get them going. The pitching matchups for the weekend, Hunter Elliott will go for Ole Miss, and he will go against Ruger Riojas, who might be one of the best pitchers in the country, no doubt one of the best pitchers in the country. On Saturday, it'll be Seed Townsend, and I beg your pardon, he'll be going against Luke Harrison. And then on Sunday, Texas will trot out SEC Freshman of the Year last year, Dylan Volantis, and he will face Will Lebert, who's got 14 Ks in 10 innings and a 1.10 whip. Should be a good series. Texas is they're undefeated. They're hitting the hell out of the ball. Casey Corba's got a 1.193 OPS and had a recent 2 home run, 5 RBI game. Timo Becerra boasts a team high 1.212 OPS, and Anthony Pack Jr., the freshman, has a 1.100 OPS. So he's came in and done everything they've asked from him so far. Ole Miss will rely on Tristan Bracetta, who currently leads the team with a 403 average and 8 bombs through 18 games. Colin Reuter's hitting .500 with 6 doubles and 11 ribs. And Judd Udermark at third base is the big power hitter with 10 home runs and a 1.329 OPS. As far as the series goes, Texas is undefeated. It was going to be a really tall order to sweep Ole Miss. I'm going to go ahead and say that I like Texas to get 2 out of 3 here. And the game I see them dropping is the Saturday game. I think that Volantis and Riojas are 2 of the best pitchers in the conference, if not the country. And they're just going to be really tough to get those guys. That's my prediction for the weekend. Kev, thoughts?
Yeah, so this game is at Texas. This series is at Texas. This is a dangerous series for Ole Miss. You're playing a team that's got deep pitching and a deep lineup, and so it's really important if you're going to contend in the SEC that you don't get swept. So that to me is Ole Miss has got to fight and scratch and claw to get one of these games. I like your thoughts on Ole Miss's best chance being Saturday. Cade Townsend's been really good for them, but they've kept him on a pitch count. So I wonder if this weekend they'll let him go 5, 6 innings. They pulled him a lot of games, 4 innings, and where he's not got into that 6 innings pitched. They Ole Miss has got a good but solid bullpen too. Walker Hooks is a guy that could come in and give him some innings. So I think the prediction of 2 out of 3 is a good one, but I'm going to say I like Texas to sweep simply because I just don't see a team unless you are a team that has just superior frontline pitching. I don't see you keep this Texas lineup below 6 runs a game right now. With Tenney, Borba, Mendoza, Rodriguez, those guys have all been good. And then their outfield, they played multiple guys there. And so I just see that machine keeping on rolling. And I think they'll hit the ball. And I think they get all 3 games this weekend. Yeah, I'm not sure that I don't think Texas is the best team in the country right now, to be totally honest.
Go back to going back to
Go
what
ahead.
you said about Townsend on Saturday and them having him on a pitch count. Bianco's a former catcher, and he's a national championship coach. He knows which way the wind blows with these pitchers, and I think this weekend is when you see him kind of lift the chains off the kid and let him go out and throw his ball game. He's just kind of babied him through the non-conference. He's done a great job with it, as he's been very effective, and I think you'll see him go. If he's effective, I think you could see him go, 6, maybe even 7 innings, if the pitch count's not too crazy, and try to get them deeper into the game with a great outing. Where does that take us to next, Kev?
Let's go to Oklahoma against Texas A&M.
Let's do it.
This is a series at the beginning of the year that I would have favored Texas A&M pretty heavy. But after watching that first week of games, Oklahoma made a believer out of me. Now, I still love Aggie and their team. I don't love Aggie, but I like their team and the players they've got. Pitching matchup. So to me, this is a matchup of really good pitching for Oklahoma and Skip Johnson and what he does against the Texas A&M lineup that can really hit the ball. And who's going to come out on top on that? Again, the series is being played in Oklahoma. So that, helps Oklahoma. Now, I will say this. When you're talking home field advantages in the SEC, Oklahoma is not a team that's going to draw a lot of fans. One of the few teams in the SEC that's not going to bring 6,000 to 7,000 people a night on the weekends in an SEC series. So I'm not going to claim it as an advantage for Oklahoma. It's just better than them playing on the road in a raucous environment like they're going to play most every weekend. So, but Friday night, you've got Shane Sadal and Cam Johnson, both ERAs in the 2s, and both have won a lot of innings. So I expect that to be a really tough matchup right there, pitching wise. Johnson pitch count can get a little high, so that'll be interesting to me with that Aggie lineup. Will they knock him out in the 4th or 5th just because the pitch count gets up there? Then Saturday, you have Weston Moss against LJ Mercurius. Mercurius, again, has been one of the best pitchers in the league so far. 23 innings pitched, .39 ERA, so he's thrown innings. He's also striking out about 11 per 9 innings too. So he's been outstanding, and Moss has probably been the weak link in the A&M pitching staff. So if I was going to say which game favors Oklahoma the most, I would say that one. So to me, that puts this series probably 1-1 because I would probably go A&M in the first one with Sadal versus Johnson, just with Sadal's overall experience, and he's just been better longer. Johnson may have a higher ceiling. And then that takes us into Sunday in the game 3. And Oklahoma's pitching a freshman, Cord Rager, who his first 3 weeks was really good. Got roughed up his last outing a little bit, 3.5 ERA, and then Aiden Sims for A&M has been really good, 1.59 ERA. So when you look at the lineups, A&M is really, really good. They got Gavin Grahovic, their first baseman. Um, in the outfield, I'm drawing Caden Sorrell. I couldn't think of his name for a minute there. Well, this battling is cold, but Caden Sorrell is really good in their outfield. Those are two of the best bats in the league. Blake Binderup's hit the ball well lately. We'll see if Wesley Jordan plays. He's not played the last couple weeks. The A&M freshmen that have played short and third for him have been really good this year. And, A&M can put a lot of runs on the board. When A&M played good pitching, like when they played UCLA did shut their lineup down. Now, that being said, not many are. And then you flip it over to Oklahoma. I'm going to say their lineup is not as good as Aggie, but it's an underrated group. As a whole, they're really actually pretty good. You've got Gamble in the outfield, Trey Gamble. Brendan Brock catches and plays in the outfield some. He's been a really good player for them. Cam Johnson's been one of the best third basemen in the SEC. He's been outstanding. Jackson Willits is really good at shortstop. Kobe Branch's younger brother plays second base for Oklahoma, and he's been solid all year too. So while I think Aggie's got a better overall lineup, Oklahoma will hit and score runs, and they do like to run the bases, and they will. Oklahoma and Kentucky are probably the two best teams at stealing bases and playing some small ball to score runs. So I like the matchups in both these. To me, this is a toss up for Game 3. I like them both to split games 1 and 2, and when it gets to Game 3, to me, it's a toss up. That pitching matchup in Game 3 makes me want to go Aiden Sims and Texas A&M. But I think with the fact that it's being in Oklahoma, I think Rager will bounce back from his last outing again. He has looked good. And Oklahoma, I think, once they get into their bullpen, they can throw a lot of arms at you. And nobody does a better job of the pitching staff than Skip Johnson at Oklahoma. So I'm going to go Oklahoma 2 out of 3 here. But this series could go either way. This may be, from a score standpoint, this may be the best series of the weekend. Your thoughts on this one?
This will be the first one we go opposite of each other on. I like Texas A&M to win the series here this weekend. I think that Jordan is supposed to be back this weekend along with Chris Hakopian. So those are two big bats in the lineup that'll be coming back that they've missed during the preseason or in the offseason. They haven't missed them that badly. They've only lost 2 games, so it's not, or they've only lost 1 game, so it's not like they're struggling. But getting 2 of your better bats back is a big deal. And that's the key reason why I like A&M in the series. I think A&M wins at 2-1, and it wouldn't totally shock me if they swept them. That's how much respect I have for this A&M lineup. The pitching staff is their 3 weekend starters are all solid. They'll get you into the bullpen in good shape, and they've been there before. So that's why I like A&M this weekend. Going from there, we'll jump into LSU and Vandy. Two teams so far this year who haven't been as good as their fan bases and coaches have expected them to be. However, Jay Johnson and Tim Corbin are both national title winning coaches, so I have no doubt that both these teams are going to bounce back and get back to where we're used to seeing them, and that's in the mix in the SEC and in the national title hunt. So for Game 1, LSU will go with Kassan Evans, who's got a 1-0 record with a 4.66 ERA and 30 Ks. He'll face All-American Connor Fennell, who's 2-0 with a 3.80 ERA and 30 strikeouts on the year. Game 2 will feature Cooper Moore, who's 3-1 with a 2.25 ERA and 31 strikeouts, versus Wyatt Nadeau, who's got a 0-0 record with a 0.00 ERA through 11 innings pitched. And Sunday, the one who I think may be the most special on LSU's pitching staff, right-hander William Schmidt, who's 3-1 with a 2.45 ERA and 33 Ks will go up against right-hander Nate Taylor, who's 0-3 with a 4.91 ERA. LSU's 13-5, currently ranked 13th in the country, dropped 10 spots from last week after a recent rush stretch, losing 4 out of 5. Bounced back with a 8-4 win over Creighton on Tuesday, so looking to build off that. Vanderbilt's currently 11-7, and they're unranked, but they are 10-2 at home. This series is in Nashville, and they had a good game the other night to come into the season off of, beating Indiana State 14-6. For LSU, look for Steve Milam, Chris Mansfield, Jake Brown, Zach York. These are the guys that need to put bat on the ball and be on the base pads. We've had a lot of situations this year where guys are on base and we're not moving them over, one or two. We're just not getting them in. That's got to change in SEC play for LSU to be successful. And I think that you'll start seeing more of that. Johnson is going to stop experimenting so much. He's going to put his best players out there that he thinks will put the team in the best position to win. And I think LSU is going to win a lot of baseball games this year. For Vanderbilt, Braden Holcomb leads the team with eight home runs and 15 ribs this year, and he's hitting .352. Brody Johnson has 7 home runs. Chris Maldonado, who's just returned from being injured for 2 years, homered in 3 consecutive games for the Commodores this month. And Riker Waite is hitting .500 over his last 16 at bats, having 8 hits there with a couple of doubles. LSU's won the last 10 consecutive meetings against Vanderbilt. That being said, it wouldn't surprise me if LSU swept this weekend, but I think LSU will win the series 2-1. I think overall LSU has a better lineup. Outside of Fennell, I think LSU has a better pitching staff, and I think that Jay Johnson is, he's lit a fire under these guys, and I think they're going to be ready to come out guns blazing in their SEC opening weekend. Like I said, I like 2-1. It wouldn't surprise me if LSU swept them. I guess it'd surprise me a little bit, but the biggest surprise would be if Vanderbilt swept LSU. I don't see that happening here with Vanderbilt's staff and the way they're throwing the ball this year. Any thoughts, Kev?
Yeah, I think this is a big series for both these teams because they want to right themselves, with the way that they've played in the offseason or in the preseason. Vanderbilt with 7 losses, that surprises me. I didn't think they would be in the top half of the league, but to have 7 losses already, that surprises me. You mentioned Jay and his experimenting with LSU. I think sometimes it's a mental game to him with his players. And I think sometimes he puts lineups together to kind of challenge them mentally to see how they'll respond. That being said, I think they've had a couple games where they didn't respond as well. But I do think, like you said, you're going to see him settle into an everyday lineup now, and there'll be more consistency as he plays his best guys at all 9 positions. And again, when it comes to pitching staffs, LSU's pitching staff is right up there, maybe just a shade under Texas, Mississippi State, Oklahoma. And I say that a high, just really close to those best pitching staffs in the conference. So, when you can get 3 good starts, you have a chance to win every game. And that's where LSU is going to be. And so I'm like you. I think they get 2 out of 3 this weekend because I do think they get 3 good starts. And I think their lineup will put, 2 good games together. Fennell will be an interesting game Friday night. He's a high strikeout guy. At times he's given up runs, but over the years, LSU's kind of struggled sometimes against left-handed pitching. So I'm really interested to see how they approach him and how they hit him. But I do have confidence in Evans to come out and pitch well Friday. He's been really good the last 2 starts he's had. And to me, last year he proved in big moments to be really well. And I think, you'll see that out of him this year. I think in a big moment he'll pitch well, and they'll get that Friday night game and then split the next 2 at least. So I like LSU for 2 out of 3. That takes me, but go ahead.
beating Fennel would be big. Certainly so you need to do that. But if you get that game, then that's the one that scares me the most, honestly, is because Fennel
It
is that
is.
pitcher. But if we can get through that one, then our chances of sweeping increase tenfold, I think, because that's the big one for me. Where you go next, Kev?
So my third series, excuse me. We'll look at Auburn and Missouri. So just want to I like this series one. Auburn's a top 10 team. They're ranked 6, and to me, they've been really good. Pitching staff's good, lineup's good. And then Missouri's been a little better. I think they're 14-2 right now. They've been a little better than we anticipated them to be this year. So I think in this series is being played at Missouri. So to me, this is just an interesting series from that standpoint. Is Missouri a team that that can get some wins in the SEC? And is Auburn good enough to go on the road and get a sweep in a series that they have the better team? So that to me is the two question marks in this series. You start with the pitching matchups. Auburn's pitching has been as good as anybody's in the league, and going into the season, there were people were wondering, what they would have pitching wise, and even questioned would they have three good starters. They've had three very good starters. Jay Marciano, 22 innings pitched, 1.23 ERA. Jackson Sanders, 22 and a 3.2 ERA. Got roughed up in his second outing a little bit, but he is coming off the pitcher of the week. Last week, pitched 7 innings of shutout baseball last weekend. And then Alex Petrovic is their Sunday starter, and he's been solid. 19 innings pitched, 2.37 ERA. Got lifted in one game because of a rain delay, and he was at 4 innings in that game, or he would be 20-plus innings too. But again, these three guys, I would expect them to give them 5 innings apiece at least and get you into their bullpen. I don't expect any of these Auburn pitches to get knocked out early. Flip that to Missouri, Javen Pimental, who's an experienced guy, been around for years. He's their Friday night guy, 17 innings pitched, 4.76 ERA. Josh McDevitt has been their best starter. He's their Saturday guy, 19 innings pitched, 2.37. And then Brady Kellenbrick, 21 innings pitched, 4.29 ERA. Marciano on Fridays has been outstanding. So, I think huge advantage to Auburn here in that game on Friday. Saturday's the interesting one to me. And if Missouri's going to get one, I think that's the one they'll get. I like Petrovic. I think he's a little better overall than Kellenbrick would be. But McDevitt's a high talent guy on Missouri staff. When you look at the bats, Auburn's hit the ball really well. You've got Chase Freilich, the catcher, who's been really good. You've got Brandon McCrane, who's hitting over 450 as a freshman. Bristol Carter's hitting over 400. He was not an original starter in their outfield, but he's came on and played really, really well. Chris Rembert came back from injury, and now he's hitting up over 300, coming off of a midweek game where he was 3 out of 5. So he's starting to hit the ball well. McCrane's brother is also a starter in the outfield for Auburn, and he's hitting over 300. So Auburn's got a really good lineup, to play with too. So I think you'll see a lot of runs scored by Auburn this weekend. And you flip that to Missouri. Missouri's hit the ball pretty well also too. Chase Wiota's hit the ball well. Tyler Macon has been outstanding, 476 this year. Isaiah Frost is hitting over 300. Cameron Benson had a home run the other night. He's another outfielder. Pierre Seals has got a lot of talent in that outfield. Cam Durham, the shortstop, had a big game midweek this week. He was injured for a few weeks, but he may be their most talented infielder. Well, he is their most talented infielder. And then Eric Masonette also has hit the ball well for him. So The one thing that Missouri will not get enough talk about until probably midway through the SEC is the fact that they can really hit the ball. They have a group of guys that can really hit the ball. They can go 1 to 9 with anybody and hit the ball very well and score runs. They're gonna lose some games 8-6, 9-7, but they're gonna win some games because of their ability to score. So when I look at it, I am gonna go 2 out of 3 Auburn over Missouri, but I think you're gonna see some offense in these series too. Even though, like I said, I think Auburn's got good pitching. Friday night would be the game that I would expect to be low scoring from Missouri's standpoint. Saturday, Sunday, I think Missouri can score runs, and I think they will. And Saturday is the game that I think they beat Auburn in a high scoring game. Your thoughts on that series?
I like Auburn here. I actually like Auburn to sweep. I'm not buying the Mizzou hype. Like some are, and I could be totally wrong here, because I said I'm not buying the Oklahoma hype as much as other are. That's not a knock at neither Oklahoma nor Mizzou. It's just that I want to see a little more before I go crazy about uh, making Oklahoma a top 10 team all of a sudden, or getting Mizzou up there. And that's not to say they won't be. It's just just one man's opinion. But where I like Auburn is in the bullpen. With Ryan Hessler, their closer, who had 8 saves in 2025. Garrett Brewer, who's a transfer from Michigan State. He was a 10.7 K through 9 guy last year in a relief role. Mason Koch, a veteran on the staff, and Jackson Sanders, who will start on the weekend sometimes. He was recently the pitcher of the week, I believe. So, yeah, I like Auburn's bullpen. I think Auburn sweeps. And Mizzou is, listen, Mizzou has improved and being, I think it's 14-2 so far in the non-conference schedule is fantastic, better than a lot of teams in the SEC. But I just don't. I'm just not buying the hype and want to see a little more out of them before I go crazy. Where we want to go next, Kev?
Let's get into conference tournament basketball. And as we get into that, I will say I agree with you. I think Missouri's a 6 or 7 win team. I just think it makes for a good, interesting matchup here in week 1.
Certainly.
I would not be surprised to see Auburn sweep that. So we've got conference tournament season, which you always get to see a few bracket busters in a conference tournament, and then that can knock out teams that are on the bubble. We're essentially into second and third round games in the conference tournaments. Anything that has surprised you so far, or you're like, this could be really good, or teams that you think have been knocked off the bubble?
Well, I think that UMass beating Miami, Ohio is huge,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that Miami, Ohio at 31-1 still gets in, but that gives another bid to that conference that they probably weren't going to get. So I think you look at somebody like an Auburn who lost a close one to Tennessee today, and they're in trouble now. I don't see Auburn making the tournament. I think their bubble was burst today. Um, you know, um, Georgetown beat DePaul. Seton Hall upset Creighton in the Big East. So that was another another game that if Seton Hall ends up getting in there, it's going to knock another bub team out. There are just a lot of these teams, especially in the mid majors, where that top dog like a Miami of Ohio gets beat, and then they've had such a great season. You got to get them in there, but you also got to take their turning winner now. So that pushes these big conference teams off the bubble and into the NIT. And my solution to that is don't put yourself in that position. If you're a big conference team, don't cry about these teams, having weak schedules and stuff. Handle your business. Auburn's sitting there. I want to say they're 17-16 now. There's not an Auburn fan in the world who could argue legitimately and say Auburn absolutely deserves to be in it. Not at 17-16. And believe me, I think Auburn's probably one of the top 15 most talented rosters in America. But you got to put it together and win games, and that's not something they did this year under Baby Pearl. So that's what I'm seeing so far. Thoughts?
Yeah. So first, let me say I totally agree with you with Auburn, and I do think that Miami of Ohio game is likely to knock them out, along with Miami of Florida getting a win today. You referenced Auburn and their 17-16 record. The one thing that it has proven, so I will give Auburn credit in the fact that they've played a lot of good teams. Michigan State out of conference, Houston out of conference. But what they proved to us in all those games, they lost.
Yeah, they can't beat them.
So, yeah, the only really good win that they've had was Kentucky. And that was at home. And Kentucky's not a top 25 team this year. So, exactly, they can't beat good teams. So, why would you even put them in? They've proven that they will lose against quality teams. So a Miami of Ohio or somebody else, to me, deserves to be in the tournament. Another thing that I like about watching these conference tournaments, so look, if you're a Duke, if you're a Florida, excuse me, those teams have made it in, and they may not play their best this week, but you'll get teams that catch this week as this is another chance for us to do something and play above what they play in the regular season. Ole Miss is an example of that. Beat Texas last night. Only won 4 games in conference. They're leading Georgia right now with 3 minutes to go. Looks like they're going to hold on and pull that win out. You're going to have some teams, like you mentioned, UMass. I don't think Ole Miss is going to win the SEC basketball tournament. Let me make that clear. But they might get another upset. But it's always fun to see some teams that do rise up, pull off some upsets. Big 12, a team like TCU is probably in the tournament. They could go on a run. They won last night. They play Kansas tonight. BYU and ultra-talented teams playing Houston right now in a 3-point game. BYU's good enough if they were to win that game to win that conference tournament. So I think it'll be interesting to see as we get into Sunday what teams win these tournaments. And I don't think in most of these instances that your regular season champion will win these conference tournaments. I think in at least half of them, you'll have somebody else that rises up and knocks someone off. If I was going to pick just for fun, I would probably stay with Florida to win the SEC just because I just think those guys are just – I don't think that they're going to back off a bit. If I were going to go Big Ten, I think I might go Michigan State because they're playing really well. If I was going to slide that to the Big 12, this one may be the toughest for me to say. Who do I think will win this one? Because I don't know that I like any team in the Big 12 to win win their own conference tournament. Not that, a lot of good teams. Kansas has been up and down. BYU's been up and down. And I think, Arizona looked really good today. They're probably the best team. But again, if I'm going to pick a team that every day brings it, I'll probably go with Houston and watch them ultimately lose this game against BYU in the next few minutes and knock me out of that pick. But I would go them in the Big 12. And then in the ACC, give me North Carolina to win the ACC tournament. Duke might, they're a talented team. But like I said, a lot of times these teams that are 1 seeds and they've won the conference, they're not as motivated. And you get a team that's hungry and they'll rise up. So give me Carolina, Michigan State, Houston, and Florida to win the Big 4 conference tournaments. Any more thoughts on?
I'm going to take you back. So Auburn actually did have a few. They beat Florida this year.
They did on the road.
Beat Kentucky. Beat Arkansas by 20 plus. Beat Mississippi. So they had a few good wins, but still, you cannot finish one game above 500, and be what they had. Was it 6 conference wins, 6-10 in the conference, I believe it was. That just isn't good enough. So yeah, I'm good with, while Auburn's talented, and while I think that they would probably beat Miami of Ohio by 10. They didn't do it on the court, and that's where you gotta get it done. So, they don't deserve to be in it. As far as the conferences go, yeah, um, I like Duke in the ACC. I'll start there. Um, I just, they look good against North Carolina the other night. They're riding that wave right now, and Shire's got them ready for the tournament. Florida in the SEC. Florida, I think, is the best team in the country right now, playing more consistently than anybody, and has just been laying the wood to everybody who's stepped on the court with them. Um, Though I'll say for the Big 12, the winner of this BYU Houston game is it for me. I like both these teams. Like I've said, I like Kelvin Sampson. Just tough, gritty defensive teams every single year. Did it at Indiana. He's done it everywhere he's been. BYU with the Boncha, perhaps the best player in the country. And when you have the best player on the country on your team in college, you're in every game because he has the ability to take the game over. So, I like them as well. Um, and I like Michigan State too. And the one reason is Fears at point guard. When Tom Izzo goes deep, he has a great veteran point guard leader, and that's what he's got Fears this year. And so that he's got the guy he wants running the point, and this is the year that they'll go far. So I like Michigan State there. Um, lots of good ball left. I'm excited for this weekend to finish out, and next weekend, I'm not big on the play-in games, whatever. But come next Thursday, and then that Friday, the next day, with the first round of the conference tournament games and the first games of the second weekend of SEC baseball. Might be the greatest day in college sports right there, boys and girls. So be sure to have every TV in the house set up, or if you've got the split screens or whatever. I think ours splits into 4 screens, so 2, 8. So yeah, if 8 screens at once, that'll work. But I can't even pay attention to one, much less more than that. So I don't know why I'd want to watch all 8. My ADHD would, I'd corkscrew myself through the hardwoods into the basement. Um, Anything else for you, Kev?
No, I agree with you. Next weekend is a great weekend of sports. You've got college basketball in the tournament. Those first couple rounds, you got games all day, and that's what makes it awesome. And then again with the SEC baseball, every weekend's a good weekend. So hopefully we have good spring weather. I'm with you. I would like to set up a lot of screens, but I'm only going to want to focus on one or two. So there's really no point. It sounds good in theory, but in reality, it's not going to work. So,
So
but no,
before
I'm looking forward to it. Just a great weekends coming up.
before we go, one sleeper team from like a mid-major or smaller conference for you in the basketball tournament. Just give me one sleeper.
Mm,
Not
I would have
not
went
that's
with.
gonna win a national title, but somebody who could sneak into the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight, and you're looking at them like, how the hell did they get there?
I still like Miami of Ohio an awful lot, even though they lost today. I would probably have to take them as my sleeper team in the mid major that can. Look, we're going to have um, some really good mid major teams get some upsets, and Dayton's another team that I like, uh, but I would have to say probably Miami of Ohio right now. Your thoughts?
So I like High Point. Um,
Mm.
High Point's a dangerous team. They score a lot of points. They get up and down the court. They lead the nation in steals, so they play very aggressive defense. They're an older team, which I love. In March, every March there's some small, 2, 3 small college teams that have a half a dozen seniors, and a couple good freshmen or sophomores, a couple junior ballers, that are used to playing together and just go out and beat teams. High Point, remember that name, High Point. I probably will pick them to win their first game, regardless of who they play, unless it's somebody I don't think
I,
they can beat.
yeah, another one I would like St. Louis. They were playing really well until the last 3 weeks. They still played well, but they lost a couple of games. But again, they're very well coached with John Schertz, so I could see them beating a team. I like your High Point pick because they're not only with the experience, but the style they play. That could be tough. So there will be. Utah State's another team, and they've had some success in the tournament in the past.
Yep.
So again, I can't wait till Sunday night to see the matchups come out so that you can actually look at the team, the style that they're going to play, and if the contrasting styles, and we'll make some picks because we'll see some really big upsets in a 7-10, 5-12. We always do. So that'll make next Thursday and Friday a lot of fun.
Certainly, certainly. So everybody who's watching this, please like, subscribe, tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell everybody you know on social media, and join us back here Sunday. I think we're going to try to do the show Sunday night after the selection show, so we can talk about some of the matchups as well as most of the SEC baseball games should be over by that time, so we can give you a wrap up on that as well. And it's going to be a lot of fun. This is the best as it gets right here. So enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Yes. Your next month's great month of sports. Everybody have a great evening. Again, like, subscribe, say something.